Bluff City Media presents Tigers Live with Francis Carlotta. Join Francis after every Memphis Tiger game as he breaks down each matchup, player of the game, and upcoming games. Now, let's get to the show. What up, Tiger Nation? This is Kenny Stubblefield. I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sam Shoemaker. What is up, Sam?
Kenny, glad to be able to be here on this holiday eve. Tough that we have to spend time away from our families to watch what we just watched, but we'll get into it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. The Tigers ended the 2025 year with a 57-48 slobber knocker against the North Texas Mean Green. And we have Roman Cleary in the studio. What up, Roman?
Good God, that game was awful. Oh, God.
Roman from the top rope, man.
The good news is that there are only 18 games left. 18 games left in the road to Birmingham. 17 in the American Athletic Conference, or just the American Conference. Still getting used to it.
Yeah.
Our arbitrary conference name change aside, Memphis opened up American play. Technically the way it needed to. They're 1-0 now.
Yeah.
They're at least a tiny step closer to getting the seeding they need for the conference tournament in Birmingham. And if they can keep squeaking by and out-talenting the other teams in this very weak league, then I guess it'll suffice considering what the season has become.
Roman, is so interesting because we are a network that is sponsored by FanDuel. And you look at the FanDuel Sportsbook, and it has the North Texas Mean Green as one of the top 4 or 5 potential favorites to win the American Conference. And my response to that is,
well, they're objectively wrong. They are objectively wrong.
Like, what the hell, bro? Like that. I mean, it was it is weird. Roman, you've covered this team now for a couple of seasons. I've covered it for a little bit longer than that. I'm an old man. Sam, you've covered this team as well. Is it not weird to see a North Texas team that's just not really any good whatsoever? It's
not weird because they lost one of the best coaches in college basketball. It's when that happens to a program in North Texas, regression is expected, and that is obviously what has happened here. If you watched Sam and I on our episode of On BCM, which dropped earlier today, we went over the American Conference and kind of the overall scope of what to expect in this league, and I don't think either of us listed North Texas as one of the perennial contenders in this conference. You're looking at more the Tulsas of the world, South Florida, Wichita State for that. This North Texas team has, taken a step back for sure with losing Ross Hodge and losing the guys they lost to either graduation or the transfer portal. This is not the North Texas Mean Green team that I think we're used to seeing over the last few years since they've joined the American, and Memphis certainly took advantage of that today.
Look, conference play is going to show us so much of who's good and who's not in this conference. But yeah, Roman hit the nail on the head. Look, this is a 9-win North Texas team versus a 5-win Memphis team, now 6-win. That's just North Texas is just not a good team. We saw it. We know what we saw today. I don't think those 9 wins were fooling anyone.
Yeah, it was a game that it felt like the Tigers at any given moment should bust the game wide open. They tried to a few times. And just ultimately some of the deficiencies and the flaws kind of kept North Texas in the game. What was I know you're up top from the in the pinnacle level at the games, Roman, but what was the environment like in the arena tonight? Was everybody kind of like feeling the same way we were? Like, what in the hell are we watching right now?
Most of the audience was probably bored, if I'm being truly honest. Bored, restless. Just waiting for anything to happen that was interesting or exciting or inspiring. And you never really got that at any point in this game. It was a pretty awful contest from start to finish that Memphis won because it's more talented.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam, you were there too. What I know you ended up leaving a little bit early because you wanted to be able to do the show from your house and not from the arena, and maybe some other reasons.
Involved
in that as well. But man, like, what was it felt like it's really hard for me. I'm having a hard time. Like I want to talk about positives because I do think there were some positives that you can take away. It looks like Zach Davis is going to be the kind of a guy that can just use his athleticism and use his size and his length to just do damage in a pretty weak conference. What are some of the positives that you take away from this game today, Sam?
The biggest things was, look, Penny's going to find the 5 guys. William Wooden, for heaven's sakes. He's not he's far past the point of starting the 5 most talented guys. You know what I mean? And now they came out ready to scrap defensively. They're diving on loose balls. I remember Doug dove on a couple, Sincere dove on a couple. Only allowed 4 points in the first 10 minutes of the game. You know that some of that might have something to do with what North Texas is, but you're holding a real basketball team to 4 points in the first 10 minutes of the game. That's impressive. I think Memphis came out ready to scrap, and this game might have showed us this is just what conference play is going to be for Memphis. I don't think North Texas is that good. Memphis is going to play a lot of other teams at the Mean Green's level. So I guess expect a lot more of these slugfests. But on the positive side, the team hustled. I think they were locked in defensively for 40 minutes.
Roman, one of the things that I think Penny has talked about over the years, he's kind of gone back and forth, and I think me and you have both tried to tell Tiger fans, do not pay attention to when Penny talks about shortening his roster, shortening his rotations. I looked up with 7 minutes left in the first half, and they had already played 12 or 13 guys.
Yeah,
in the first 13 minutes of the game. What does that tell you? I mean, you've talked to Penny, you've talked to players, you've talked to a bunch of people over there in the facility. What does that tell you about where Penny still stands this many games into the season so far, playing 13 dudes?
Well, it tells me what he straight up told me point blank after the Alabama State game, and kind of a funny moment in that post-game presser. He still has no real idea what the, I guess, established roles are going to be on this team. You saw a 10th starting lineup in 13 games. We did indeed get that 10th starting lineup. It was Doug, it was Stedford, Ashton, William Wharton, and Tariq Ingram making his first start. It actually surprises me that it took Tariq Ingram this long to finally get a start, but it happened today. But I kind of go back to the analogy with the spaghetti that I think you used, Kenny, this season to the season before that, where they're just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, and they haven't really gotten much to stick consistently. And as I've said before, I'm not sure if they'll be able to, considering how much they're changing stuff from game to game.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like if you want consistency, you got to be consistent, right?
If you want consistency, watch last season. Because you're not going to find it this year.
You played 7 or 8 guys all season last season. You knew exactly who was playing every single game. It didn't matter. The only change that ever happened from last year was Dane Dangerous was off the bench at the beginning of the season, and then about 7-8 games in, he became the full-time starter and started the rest of the way, and became one of the best bigs in the entire country. But it's so. I want us to spin this and focus on the positives of like what we saw, like the fact that the 2025 year is over after tonight. This game was the last game of the season of the 2025 year. But I'm having a hard time finding a lot of positives about what we saw today.
Because there really weren't much.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw Zach Davis have a second half breakout yet again. He scored 9 in the second half against Bama State, and he had 10 against North Texas today. It kind of just goes to show what we've known about him throughout all this season. If Zach Davis tries, he plays well. If he doesn't try, he's terrible. There's really no in between there. And you just hope, if you're Penny Hardaway and if you're Memphis, that he finally gets it and that he finally realizes that he has to bring effort and energy and a want to, more so than anything, every single game to get the most out of his last year of eligibility.
Yeah.
And, really become the winner that I'm sure he desires to be. I think you saw some good things from Sincere Parker in this one.
Yes.
Yet again, if Sincere Parker does what he's actually good at, which is put his head down and drive to the basket, he's an effective player. When he's not effective, he's just standing on the perimeter and taking three-pointers that he has no business taking. It baffles me how you can be so good at one thing and so bad at the other, and yet you try to do the thing you're bad at over and over and over again. That Sincere Parker baffles me in that way. He really does. He is such a good driver to the basket, by far the best on the team, and he almost never does it.
Yeah.
If he did it consistently, he'd be averaging 20 a game easily.
What is Sam? You're an athlete. Like, you've played ball. Like,
I don't know about that.
sort of an athlete. What is it about Sincere Parker's such a conundrum to me, right? Like, he's such a conundrum of, like, you are so talented, and yet the usage is not there. He's not playing a lot of. I mean, he played 15 minutes tonight. He only shot the ball 6 times. He was 5 of 6, so his efficiency rating is off the charts, which is what you saw at McNeese State last year, where you're just like, this dude, when he takes shots, he makes them. But I just, what do we make of Sincere Parker? He is the most baffling basketball player I've seen in a very long time.
Right. There's so much nuance to the Sincere conversation, because that is the conundrum. You looked at him last year and you're like, man, this guy just doesn't miss. So if you just give him a couple more shots, he's probably going to score a lot of points, right?
Yeah.
But I can't put my finger on it either. Like you or Roman can't. It might be a coaching thing, as in Penny's not putting him in positions to succeed. But if I had to put money on it, it would just be he just doesn't want to. He just doesn't see the importance of playing a role, right? At the end of the day, everyone has goals to make it to the league. Everyone wants to be a hooper. Guys getting to the rack. Like, look, PJ Haggerty was one of the best players in the nation last year and didn't go to the NBA, right? And he was the best of the best of what Sincere can be. He's the LeBron James of Sincere Parkers, right? Now, Sincere, at the end of the day, my money would go on. He just wants to shoot what he wants to shoot, and it's hard to wrangle that in. And I think Curtis, he didn't have the best game tonight. I think he gives this team a little bit of off-ball consistency, getting the ball out of Doug's hands, who, of course, has been one of the more consistent players on the team. But, yeah, the Sincere conversation, so much nuance to it. I don't have a particular answer. I think he just doesn't see the need.
Well, you saw Penny's offense today. It felt like they kind of shifted some things around offensively to get.
They struggled in half court. They struggled
in the half court because they were doing new things, right? And
right.
I think they've struggled all year. It's not like they've been
right.
a juggernaut in other games. But what I felt like what Penny was trying to do was use some of his size and his athleticism, and guys like Sincere, who are really, really talented around the basket. A lot of back cuts, a lot of off-ball movement, things like that to get backdoor passes. And it makes sense for the team that they have, because you don't want this team shooting a lot of three-pointers. You don't want Memphis shooting a bunch of threes, because I just don't think they're a very good three-point shooting team. You want a lot of, especially in the American Conference. I want every shot at the rim. I want every shot going towards the rim with an opportunity for an offensive rebound, because you have bigger, more athletic guys than anybody else in this conference. But even in that sense, like Sincere, with that offensive, switch up that Penny made, Sincere got only 6 shots. He made 5 of them because they were good shots. But it's just, I don't think it's a coaching thing, because I think we've seen Penny maximize players that have limitations in all the other seasons that he's had. He maximized those guys. It's just something is not clicking up here with Sincere. It's just so interesting to me.
I don't think Sincere really has that many limitations. Like you talk about limitation, and as a scorer, he really doesn't have that many limitations, other than he's just not a great three-point shooter. He's effective inside the arc. He's a very effective player inside the arc. But for some reason, he just doesn't attack the way that you think a player with his unique and special skill set would. It's so confusing, extremely confusing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think obviously he's not a 3-point shooter. He doesn't do that well. But it's the when you do see positives out there, when you do see some wins, whether when it's him getting to the basket, making layups, whatever it is, it's why don't we want to do that more? Why, like, Sincere, why don't you want to do that more? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Like every time he drives to the basket, it's either it's usually points or a foul. He usually doesn't miss at the rim very often, but you just never see him go there again nearly as often as you think he would.
Yeah.
Right. What you saw last year with Haggerty, what Penny would do, he would have those like clear outs where Danger would set the cross like lane screen. Haggerty would run across, and then he would have an ISO on that right wing to himself. I wonder if you can run just like those type of sets to get the ball in Sincere's hand going downhill. Because a lot of times when he's getting the ball, he's at the top of the key and he's got gap defenders on each side. And it's just, at the end of the day, he's trying to get teams know he's best going to the rack. I think it'd be easier if, I don't know. I don't know if it's a Penny problem. Don't know if it's a Sincere problem, but I think they can definitely help each other out. I think Sincere can want to get to the rack more, and Penny might be able to put him in better spots.
Yeah. All right, Roman, before we get you out of here so you can go to the press conference, what were your thoughts on, like, what are your thoughts as we wrap up 2025? The Tigers are, I think, the prohibitive favorites to win the American Conference. Do you see things moving forward in January and February and March being like positivity gaining within this program? Just a lot of wins, the opportunity to repeat as regular season champions. Like, what are your thoughts on what you see out there right now?
I don't know if it's necessarily a positive direction right now, but things are certainly going better than they were, say, a couple weeks ago. I think it's pretty simple. Memphis is the most talented team in this league by a pretty wide margin. It may not feel like it because, they've been playing a bunch of high-caliber competition for the first few months of the season, but this is still a multi-million-dollar roster for Memphis compared to some rosters in the American that don't even touch $1 million, right? Memphis is still, despite everything it's gone through to start this year, in a very favorable position to win this league and win it comfortably. So still, if Memphis can continue to take care of business like it technically did today, again, because of where it's at in the season, at-large resume doesn't really matter anymore because it's not attainable. Computer numbers aren't really that big of a deal. It doesn't really matter how it looks. As long as Memphis is on the winning side, as long as they get in the win column, more often than not, chances are they're going to be able to get one of those top 2 seeds in the American tournament. And if they do that, they're in as good a position as anybody in this league to go to the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you. I do think the positivity is that you, like you said, they are the most talented, most physically gifted team that's in the American Conference, and they should absolutely be on the winning side on most of these games. You just hope that happens, right? You hope that what's supposed to happen happens, and they win the regular season, go to the NCAA tournament, and that's what.
Yeah. But right. That's still going to take buy-in. That's still going to take, effort and energy. Like, these games may feel very meaningless for the most part because Memphis can't really help itself, from game to game. But they can't check out. It just can't happen. They have to, stay locked into this. They have to stay the course because you have to win enough to give yourself favorable conference tournament seeding. Because if you don't have favorable conference tournament seeding, if you have to put yourself in a position where you have to win 4 games in 4 days or even 3 games in 3 days, that's just not an optimal position to be in, no matter how talented Memphis is compared to the rest of the American.
Yeah. Hey, I want to shout out everybody that's in the comment section. We have 164 people in here watching the show right now. It is New Year's Eve, and so we're going to make this a relatively short show today because I want to go celebrate. I want to go have some fun because I just spent 2 hours watching North Texas and Memphis play basketball. So we're going to make this a relatively short show, but I did want to say thank you to everybody that's in the comment section. You guys are awesome. You guys make this thing happen. We've got a couple of comments that are Mass Gaining Guy says these Tiger basketball players are not athletic at all. What's really going on with this team? I would say in terms of compared to other American Conference teams, they are way more athletic than every other American Conference team out there.
Yeah.
I will say, Mass Gaining Guy, me and him have had back and forths on YouTube comment sections. He does not like this team at all.
I mean, I can't say I blame him. I mean,
What is there to like, Kenny?
it's certainly
They wear Memphis on their chest. I don't know. There's something to like about them.
yeah, I could certainly understand any sort of negative reception towards this team because this is a passionate program. This is a serious college basketball program that expects to win. And if you put yourself in a spot where you have a roster and players aren't getting that done, and it looks as uninspiring as it looks at times, then yeah, it's negativity and hostility in some cases is expected. Penny Hardaway just pulled in, so I have to depart. Thank you, guys.
All right, brother. We'll see you, man.
Look, Kenny, I kind of want to push back on this narrative that this is the most talented team. And look, I don't have a 2K overalls in front of me of how good this team is compared to other teams in the conference. But two things can be true at once. Sure, Memphis spent more money than anyone else did on their roster. Guess what? Money does not equal talent. A team who plays in FedEx Forum gave Chandler Parsons $95 million, right? Look, this team, they're certainly more talented than North Texas. But look, Tulsa just beat Rice by 50. FAU beat UTSA by 40. I don't think Memphis is going to blow that many teams out. I don't think they're built for that.
Nope.
I don't think they're going to just run up the score on that many teams. I am not as confident, I don't think, as you and Roman, because, Kenny, you said the line, if what should happen does happen, Memphis will do well, right? I don't even know if that's what should happen. Maybe I'm being a little too pessimistic. I don't know, but this team just hasn't shown me anything. And look, they've played against talent like this. They did well against Alabama State. They, room for optimism against New Orleans, but then they lost to UNLV early season. They played a really tough game, 20 turnovers. Do you have the box score of the free throw percentage that Memphis shot today?
God. Yes, dude. It is
26.7.
Yeah, they shot 4 of 15 from the free throw line today.
4 of 15. Talented teams don't do that. I don't know. Maybe talented teams do that. Maybe undisciplined teams do that. I'm not sure, but I just don't think this Memphis team is just that good. I think they're going to struggle here and there. If they do win a lot of games in the American, a lot of them are going to be close. And that's just the reality of it. This team is not far and away better than anyone just because they spent way more money. They spent over $500,000 on Aaron Bradshaw, and he stinks. That doesn't make him more talented than everyone else. North Texas's best bigs were all 6'8". Aaron Bradshaw, 7'2", former 5-star, right? That doesn't make him better. He still stunk tonight.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time. Like, I'm really trying to keep some of my intrusive thoughts to myself in terms of like what I really feel about what we saw today, what we've seen in the previous games, and the future moving forward for this Tigers team, specifically this Tigers team. I'm not confident. I do think the Tigers are positioned and poised to be every year should be at the top of the American Conference.
And they will be, because that's how bad this conference is.
Right. But I don't think I necessarily disagree with you that there is a lot to – one of the things we know about the American Conference is that games against these teams, when you're in conference, there are slobber knocker type of games where it is just a grind and a battle. And it's just, it doesn't matter how much talent level is on either team. It's just going to be a hard game. North Texas has always been one of those games.
Right.
Even FAU has always been one of those games. Temple has been one of those games for Memphis throughout the years. I'm very concerned about what this Tigers team looks like when they get pressed. Right, like when they get pressed, when they get pushed,
20 turnovers.
You see a lot of holes, and so I'm very concerned about what that looks like. Ultimately, I do think the Tigers should absolutely be at the top of the American Conference, but I mean I don't disagree with you. I don't think that it is they are just far and above a better team than every other team in this conference. I just It just doesn't make sense that they wouldn't win the American Conference. Maybe that's our problem. Like maybe that's the problem with we have all these expectations and this team is just not going to and we'll see if it happens or not. I don't know. I'm struggling over here because I don't want to be as negative
after a win.
Yeah, like negative after a
I
win
get that.
and honestly negative as I want to be. I'm not impressed by anything that I saw tonight. Nothing about this game, nothing about even Zach Davis, and nothing about any of these guys impressed me tonight. And so I want to be happy that they got a win and they closed out 2025 with a win, but I'm not impressed at all.
Right, that's fair. I think more on that, Penny Hardaway's talking to Roman right now. Who knows what he's saying? I'm sure Roman will give us the goods on Twitter and in his Substack later. But what is Penny Hardaway saying right now? Because I think Penny Hardaway agrees with you, and I think he knows this team just isn't that good. Why else do you think they played like they were on crack the entire game? They push because they're just not that good. And at the end of the day, if Memphis knew they were more talented than everyone else, they would just play basketball because that's what good teams do, right? They don't feel the need to do extra stuff and switch up offenses and push and push and push if the team is already consistent and set. But when you have 10 different starting lineups and however many games, that's just kind of the price of playing ball, right?
Let's talk about that when we get back from break. I want to take a break, get some of our sponsors in, and then we'll talk about we're doing a watch party at Mugshots on the 3rd of January. I'll talk about that a little bit, but let's take a break. When we come back, I want to discuss that with you because I do have a question for you on how, like, if Penny Hardaway knows this, then are there some things that Penny Hardaway can do to fix it, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that when we get back from this commercial break. In Memphis, we know a thing or two about resilience. From the grindhouse to the Delta, we protect what's ours. But when pests invade your home, it's time to fight back. Grade A Pest knows how to handle what crawls, flies, and bites. With local experience and guaranteed results.
I'm Reggie with Grade A Pest Control. We service the Memphis metro area. That also includes DeSoto and Fayette County as well.
Grade A Pest has the entire Mid-South covered. So if bugs and pests put you to the test, let Grade A solve your problem. In the heart of the Highland Strip for 27 years, Trilogy Tattoo has helped tell stories for Memphians for generations. Located at 530 South Highland, Richie and his team are waiting to help you tell yours.
From tattoos to piercings, your body art should be as unique as you are. Voted a Memphis Flyer top 3 tattoo shop in the city of Memphis since day one. Your story will be safe here at Trilogy Tattoo.
Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 11 to 11, and 3 to 11 on Sundays. They have convenient times waiting on you. Let Trilogy Tattoo help you tell your story. In Memphis, nothing comes easy, and that's exactly how we like it. This is a city built on hustle, on heart, on grit. And at Carway, our rides are built the same way. Tough, reliable, ready for the grind. No games, no gimmicks, just Memphis-style service. Real, honest, and built on trust. Where grit meets grind, you meet your next ride. Carway, grit, grind, and Pink Beetles. All right, welcome back to Tigers Live. We are immediately following, instant reacting to the University of Memphis's 57-48 win over North Texas. They were up by 16 with like 7 minutes left in the game, and then went on a 4-minute scoring drought where North Texas brought the game back to respectable numbers. Got a little bit hairy there for a second. You were before the break. You were talking about Sam. We got Sam Shoemaker on here with us. You are the editor for Daily Helmsman at the University of Memphis. Shout out to you, bro. Y'all been killing it, man, over there. I love seeing the Daily Helmsman like thriving again. It's a lot of fun. So shout out to you, man. Tell me real quick, how did all this come about? First off, you broke the story this year about a certain former Memphis cornerback that was handing off play calls to the UTSA quarterback, K. McCown, from last year. That went super viral. People went crazy about that. Who's the coach at UTSA? What's his name? Jeff Traylor. Traylor looked like a damn deer in headlights in the in the media day press conference when that was discussed. And you've segued that into really helping build up the University of Memphis Daily Helmsman newspaper, man. Like tell me about that. How did all that work out?
Man, Kenny, it's been a whirlwind, man. That was just over the summer. And, as everyone knows, a lot of people are outside looking in on it. Journalism is kind of like hard. Like, it's hard to make it work. It's hard to be able to do this as a profession and whatnot. So I was like, what do I have to do to be able to do this? And since then, we've done it. We had the viral reports and whatnot, and just doing that part of it. But, the Daily Memphian came out of that, Daily Helmsman. Can you have a theory, though, that student journalists should be better than everyone else? We should, because listen, I'm on campus every day. I can talk to managers and players and coaches. I have sources that Kenny, you and other like beat journalists will never be able to get. And
right.
And Roman is the same thing. At the end of the day, it's just simple, just being able to talk to people. And I think the Daily Helmsman is awesome. I love that I get to be a part of it kind of has gone through a lull. It's a very storied paper, but it's gone through a lull. And guess what? Right now, it's the only free daily newspaper in the city of Memphis. So definitely tune into everything we're doing over there. We're doing sports, we're doing news. I think it's really cool. And as far as my personal journey, a lot of cool opportunities. This is definitely one of them. And then get to be on here with the BCM network, get to create digital content. That's also just such a blessing. And I just love it, man. So thanks to all the viewers. Thanks to everyone who tunes into everything we do, because I really appreciate it.
Well, shout out to you, man. You do a fantastic job.
Thank you.
You broke the story last week that you put a number on the amount of NIL money that Penny Hardaway has fined Aaron Bradshaw this year. You put a number on it through sourcing and through good reporting that it's $20,000. That's wild, man. That's wild. You're like, hey, can we send that over to the Daily Helmsman? Can we, or put that in Sam Shoemaker's wallet, right?
Bro, please, man, we need that. Give it to BCM for crying out loud, man. It was funny because this part, I put this in the piece. It wasn't even my sourcing. This is just what Dane Bradshaw, no relation to Aaron, of course,
right,
said on the broadcast. He said that money, Penny told him that money got divvied up to the rest of the team.
What?
That's what he said. Maybe he misspoke or something. And then Penny came out and said, "Oh, we find everyone," and that's this. Listen, I think I've said it here on this network before. This is why I kind of love Penny Hardaway. Yeah. He's so honest to a fault. He comes out and says, "Yeah, we find guys. Was that ever a question? Everyone finds guys. Listen, Kenny, I covered Ryan Silverfield for 3 years. Yeah. I could hear him talk for a half hour and not say a single thing. You give me 10 minutes with Penny Hardaway, he's just getting zinger after zinger. And that's what I really appreciate about being able to cover this team. Because it's a lot of real. There's not fake. And that's what's really cool.
That is the truth. And I think at times you can say, hey, Penny, maybe not say those words. Like those words might get you in trouble. Like those words might not be helpful in this moment. But as a reporter, you have to love it, because you're always going to get the unvarnished truth from Penny Hardaway. He will never coach speak you ever. And so when you hear him say something, you can take it to the bank. He 1000% means it, and so that it is interesting covering him in that regard. I've covered him for now his entire career. at the University of Memphis, and it's always been that way. It's always been that way, to the point where, like you said, at times it can be detrimental, right? You look at the 21-22 season when the firestorm that he created bringing to the media that the veteran guys did not like the young guys and they were causing all these problems. It created, because then there's a ton of think pieces from everybody in the media about what this means, right? Like, what does this mean? And it's just, it changes the narratives around what should be inside the practice facility, inside the locker room, and what's outside. But Penny Hardaway does not keep those things in house, man. He brings them out.
Right.
So,
and if Penny Hardaway's name was John Smith, or he was just this regular everyday guy, he didn't have the connection to the city of Memphis, it'd be kind of like harder to give him the benefit of the doubt. But at the end of the day, it's easy for us to appreciate Penny. And from the fan perspective, it's so easy to appreciate Penny because, of course, he's Penny Hardaway. And also, he's never going to lie to you. So why would I not give him the benefit of the doubt if I'm a fan?
Absolutely. Well, before the break, we were talking about just the team, the Tigers team, just not a lot of the positives and just some of the things that maybe some of the feelings that we all have about, even though they won this game tonight, it was just kind of a uninspiring win. Like, there just wasn't a whole lot to take from it that was a positive. We talked about earlier, and it kind of it makes sense. Penny discusses all the time his rotations, and he says, listen, I need to find my 8 guys. I need to find my 9 guys. And it is about to be January 1st. And we still don't have that. And I wanted to, you can always, I'm not a big believer that stats are like tell the entire story of a game, but I do think that there's certain things you can look at and you can go, okay, this kind of tells me what happened, right? Like I understand what happened. And this box score, there's certain box scores that just look really good. And there's certain box scores that are really, really weird. And this box score is in the really, really, really weird category. Starting lineup tonight, 10th starting lineup in, was it 10th and 13 games? Is that hell? Yep, that's the number. William Wharton, 8 minutes, only 2 points. Ashton Hardaway, 17 minutes, only 3 points. Tarek Ingram in his first start of the season, 9 minutes, 0 points, only 1 shot, 2 rebounds. Julius Tedford, 18 minutes, 7 points, only 3 shots taken. Doug McDaniel, the most consistent starter for the Tigers this season so far, 34 minutes, 9 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. So you've got 5 guys who are starting. William Wharton hadn't played meaningful minutes since the beginning of December. Multiple coaches decisions, DNPs. Tarek Ingram's not started at all this year. He gets minutes in the starting lineup. Off the bench, the main minute getters were Hassan Abdul Hakim, 25 minutes. Zach Davis, 23 minutes. Curtis Givens, 21 minutes. Sincere Parker, 15. I guess my question to you is we talk about consistency and we talk about wanting to see Penny Hardaway get some consistency, and maybe he's still trying to search for what that consistency looks like. Is there some things that Penny Hardaway can do to just force consistency on these guys? And what I mean by that specifically is, can he, like, would you, if you were him, would you pick a starting 5 and say, no matter what, you guys are starting, unless injury gets in the way, unless something happens, you're going to get the bulk majority of the minutes, you 5 guys. And then instead of having guys like William Wharton, who's not getting minutes at all in the month of December, Tarek Ingram, who's not getting minutes at all in the month of December, all of a sudden in conference play starting. Does that make sense? Like, would you, is there some things you would do differently if you were Penny Hardaway?
Yeah, I think the main positive out of tonight's game is essentially everyone played hard. Some guys didn't have good games. Tariq Ingram, I thought was really awful. He didn't play very hard either. But essentially everyone that got in the game played hard. That has not always been the case for this team, right? And a lot of where that went wrong was, I don't know if you remember, Penny said, all of our good players, our best players aren't trying very hard. Our worst players are trying very hard. That's just a tough spot to be. And that's why William Wharton is getting starts, right? But the positive out of tonight is I think that might change. I think we're going to start to see Penny kind of switch back and go back to, look, our most talented players, if everyone's trying the same amount, our most talented players are now going to be able to play 20, 30, 35 minutes. And I think That is what I would change, because at the end of the day, consistency is important. There's that old coach's saying where it's like, when your best players are your hardest workers, stuff comes easy. When it's not, you get what you've seen thus far this season. And I just think going forward, that kind of has to change. There has to be some level of consistency, and 10 starting lineups is just a comical amount of change and turmoil.
It's absurd.
It's absurd, right? It's absurd. Why is Tariq Ingram getting a start? I understand these bigs are awful, but why not just stay consistent? Let your guys go. How many guys they play tonight? 12 or was it 13? I'm not sure. But that also can't. 12 guys in a game that was competitive, essentially competitive the entire time. That also can't happen. Shrink the rotation, drop a couple guys out, give more minutes to your best players. And I think Penny is going to have to do that, or it's just going to be dogfight after dogfight. And guess what? This team doesn't really know how to win close games that well. They're going to start losing them if Penny does not get a consistent rotation.
So what would be your consistent starting five? We haven't had you on this show. We haven't discussed this with you on Tigers Live. We've had this conversation quite a few times. And I find it very frustrating that it is December 31st at 6:02 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we are still having this conversation.
Right.
But what would if Sam Shoemaker was the head coach of the University of Memphis Tigers this year, who would your starting five be?
This might be a hot take, and I'm not in those practices. I don't see everything that Penny sees, of course. But at the end of the day, you're trying to win a conference championship. I would just go with the highest floor starting five. And to me, that's Doug McDaniel. And then I do like Curtis as the 2. I think he gives a lot of help there. Zach Davis at the 3. And then there's Zach Davis at the 4, and then Julius Stedford at the 3. You're running a small lineup with those 4 in there. And then I would go Aaron Bradshaw at the 5. I think those 5 give you the best chance to win games if you can get all 5 into play. I know it's a smaller lineup, but Zach Davis can guard bigs. He can do it. That would be my 5. I'm not in those practices. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about your main guys, what Penny has said very clearly, though, is that Ashton has to be a starter on this team.
Right.
But Ashton started tonight and only played 17 minutes and only had 3 points, 1 of 3 from the 3-point line. Is Ashton a part of, like, if it was Ashton Smith, would Ashton Smith, with the numbers that he has, would that be an issue? Would you be playing him as much as Penny is basically saying he has to?
I wouldn't be playing him as much as Penny is, but I don't think. I mean, no, subconsciously he might be. I don't think Penny's playing him because his last name's Hardaway. I think he's playing him because, I mean, look, he let Nicholas Jourdain start an entire season. Just guys like that who, at the end of the day, look. Sean just dropped a comment that said,
I'm pushing back on you. Nick Jourdain is my guy.
I know you're a Nick Jourdain believer.
I'm a Nick Jourdain guy because I don't need everybody to be able to score 20, 30 points in a game.
Right.
I need guys who fit a role. And
right. I think he sees Ashton like that. Although Ashton's not, I think he sees him in that same role. And that's why he's letting William Wharton get minutes, because he also sees him in a similar role.
Whew.
Because Penny, he's trying to fit roles. This team has to run through the guards. They're the most talented players in the team, and he's trying to find forwards and bigs that can complement that.
Yeah. Listen, the comment section is still popping off. Shout out to y'all. Anthony's asking, what did Penny say after the game? Roman will let you know very soon. I think the press conference is happening right now. Stay tuned to go to ROA Clear on Twitter, and you'll see a Substack, and he'll have all the articles. He'll send me video clips of the press conference. I'll put it up on YouTube as soon as possible. But yeah, we'll find out what he says after the game. We used to be able to go live and do it, do the press conference, and that got shut down. So shout out.
Yeah.
We usually had it a part of Tigers Live, but unfortunately, the University of Memphis decided no, that was a no-go.
Because why make it easy to cover the university?
Why make it easy to cover the sports that everybody wants to see? Because that is that's a novice idea or a novel idea. Let me see. There was another comment real quick because I want to get back to this conversation. Anthony says Mugshots is the spot. Shout out. Mugshots is the title sponsor for Tigers Live. We are actually, I want to we'll make this announcement. You'll see more stuff coming out about it. But on January 3rd, Saturday, January 3rd, we're doing a Bluff City Media watch party, the Tigers versus the Rice Owls at 2 p.m. at Mugshots out in Collierville. The reason Francis Carlotta is not on the show today is because Francis is flying to Memphis right now and is going to be in-house at Mugshots on Saturday for a live Tigers Live post-game show from Mugshots out in Collierville. Come out and watch. Tons of big screen TVs, lots of really good food, beer specials, large screen TVs, everything you can think of. It's a fun spot. If you're out there in the Collierville area, come and watch the game with us. Bluff City Media will be out there. Roman will be there. I'll be there. Francis will be there. Hopefully Sam can make it. But we'll be out there. The watch party on January 3rd. Shout out to Mugshots. Those guys are awesome. Let me ask you this. So if you said Doug, Curtis, Julius, Zach, and Aaron, who are the other, like, let's go 3 guys off the bench. Who are the guys, the 8 to 9? Let's go 3 to 4 guys off the bench that would get the majority of the minutes in the conference schedule.
Well, the problem is everyone, just the best players on the team are guards, of course. But, of course, Hassan and Sincere are your next 2 best players. And then you got to have another big because, first off, you just got to have a bench big. And also Aaron Bradshaw's not going to be able to play 30, 35 minutes because he's just not that player. So, I don't know. Maybe this is an Ashton Hardaway spot just to get in there and hustle, and he plays hard. You asked that if it was Ashton Smith. I think Ashton plays hard. And then maybe Majak here in that 9 spot. But the problem with, and the reason I'm not a college basketball coach and Penny Hardaway is look, that's just a lot of small guys, not a lot of rebounding there. That's just a small lineup, but this team is so guard heavy. Those are all your best players. And I'm always a believer in get your best guys on the floor.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like this roster, there's a pretty severe drop off in the big rotation, right? Where you need bigs, but that means you'd have to sit guys who can actually put the ball in the basket to play those bigs. You know what I'm saying? Like if you got Hassan, and I think Hassan and Ashton are pretty decent rebounders. I don't think that they're bad at it, but when you're playing against bigs, you've got to have some other bigs out there. If Aaron Bradshaw's the only big that's getting minutes for this Tigers team, it's a rough go, right? Like he's not impressive to me. I think that there's a lot of, the color commentator coach, I think it's Perry, I think is his name, said, he was like, you're 7'2", Aaron Bradshaw. There's a play where he went up for a shot and double pumped in the lane and tried to, and he's like, you're 7'2". Why would you ever double pump a layup at 7'2" against guys that are 6'8"? Like, why would you ever do that? And that makes sense to me. Like, why would you just exert your will? You're 7'2", bro. Just go up there and do it. Just go up there at the rim hard, get a foul, but
right.
Oh God.
It's not only a Memphis problem though. Like, Memphis's bigs aren't very good, but none of the bigs in this conference are going to be that good either. So at the end of the day, if your guards are better than everyone else, and I think they are, they're at least close to it, you can just find guys to complement that. And Aaron Bradshaw double pumping on 6'5" guys just isn't going to do it.
It's not going to get the job done. Let me think. I'm trying to think what else we can talk about before we get out of here. Do you think that, I know it was a rough non-conference schedule for the Tigers. They ended up 5-8, or no, was it 6-8?
5-7.
5-7. Thank you. I know it was 12 games. I just couldn't remember exactly.
If they were 5-7 and then won today, what's their record now, Kenny?
6.
That's on me.
And 7.
My bad. All right. Next segment.
Do you realize how often we use the numbers 6 and 7? Like just in everyday talk. Like it is wild how whoever that artist is that made that song is like hit on something, because I find myself saying 6-7 just in normal conversation more than, because it just sounds better than 4-5 or
100%.
7-8. It's 6-7.
Yeah, I could be in like academic settings and then 6-7 comes up and I got to lock in. And luckily we're on the BCM Tigers Live post game show. We don't have to lock in.
We don't have to lock in. Do you think that this, it was a rough non-conference for the guys? They just didn't, it wasn't as successful as they were hoping it to be. I honestly think that 5-7 in the non-conference is probably about as good as you could have expected it to be for this Tigers team. Do you agree with me? I mean, I know that they lost. That Wake Forest game was horrible. The Ole Miss is not a good team. Ole Miss loss was tough. The UNLV loss was tough. They looked terrible. That felt like an Arkansas State style game last year when they came back to Memphis and just got the doors blown off of them by Arkansas State. So I know that there were some games that they dropped that they probably shouldn't have. But with this team being what it is and the lack of consistency that this team has on a game by game basis, 5-7 is not a bad record.
I mean, yeah, I get the sentiment, but also, I disagree just because of the way it did play out. Like, there's so many games they really could have won here.
Right.
You got, that UNLV game. I think if they play again, I think they win that game. I would assume. Wake Forest, that's a game they won, right? And then Ole Miss and Mississippi State, those are also games that could have gone their way. Now, the problem is, and why you said what you said, and you're not entirely wrong, is this team doesn't know how to win. They don't have winners. These guys have never won before. So this was bound to happen. So 5-7 was, if they replayed it, I would assume they would be close to 5-7 again.
Yeah, more than likely. Do you think, though, that this do you think the non-conference, just kind of the bumps and bruises they took out of it, will help them as they move into the conference schedule?
Not really, because they didn't win them. You know what I mean? And then when they did play UNLV, they didn't win that game. Maybe that was harsh because, yeah, sure, you've played better competition. You look bad against good competition. Now you're going to at least look competent against bad competition, right? But I don't think it's going to provide them because, look, Tulsa's 13-1 right now, and then just smoked Rice by 50. They're 13-1. They're rolling. Memphis is 6-7. They're not rolling. I think there's pros and cons to both sides. Now, Aaron Bradshaw has been playing against 7-foot demons all year. Maybe now he'll break out against 6'8", 6'7" guys making $10,000 to be here. Who knows?
Yeah, let's hope. All right, last thing I want to discuss with you. I was listening to the broadcast, and the color commentator, Coach Perry, whatever his name is, I cannot remember his name, but he had a whole discussion where he said right now the Tigers are in a place where they're having to recognize and identify things. And he said it feels like they still need to recognize and identify or recognize and establish certain roles within their team and like who their guys are. And so I want us to do, let's take that, and I wanted to use that as an opportunity for us to help Penny Hardaway with that. All right.
You're welcome, Penny Hardaway.
So I got 3 things that I want Tigers Live on the Bluff City Media YouTube network to recognize and establish for this Tigers team. Who's the Tigers' best offensive player?
Doug. It's Doug McDaniel.
Really?
I mean, look, he averaged like what? I don't have the stats in front of me. 16-6 or something in the Big Ten. That's something on decent efficiency. That was a couple years ago now, but just watching the games. And also, Doug didn't play bad today. I thought he had a nice game. Stats weren't perfect, but only 2 turnovers. That's about as little as you can possibly expect from Doug. There's a lot of inconsistencies there. We know the small guard archetype that kind of takes over college basketball. Doug's a hooper, though, and he's your best offensive player, I think.
Okay. I would put Doug in another place, so
okay.
I'm gonna add somebody else to the equation.
Okay.
And y'all in the comment section, y'all throw who y'all think we're gonna recognize and establish 3 things for the Tigers right now. The first one is, who is their best offensive player? I still think Sincere Parker is their best offensive player.
That's fair. He's by far the second best, or him and Doug are 1A, 1B for sure.
Yeah, like I still think that. Oh, okay. Francis says Hassan at his peak is the best. Josh Breezy says between Doug and Parker. Let's get it right, Josh Breezy. It's D-U-G, not D-O-U-G.
I think what Nathan just said is a great point. Like that's kind of kind of the Doug experience. He's consistently good, but he's not incredible. And he's the only one who's been consistent. So that's kind of why he was my decision. But maybe most talented, it could be Hassan or Sincere. I wouldn't hate that choice either.
See, Nathan Payson's a real ball knower, and so Nathan Payson is like looking at my notes right here, and he already knows one of the things that we're going to recognize and establish is one of the words that he used in there. So we're going to talk about, which is where I would put Doug. So all right, so you got Doug as the best offensive player. I have Sincere Parker as the best offensive player. Now it's about establishing that. Okay, how can Penny Hardaway establish Doug and Sincere as their best offensive players? Like, what are some things that needs to happen right now to establish that? Number one, I think that he's doing that with Doug because Doug's getting all the minutes, right? Like he's playing 30 to 35 minutes every single game. So the ball is consistently in his hands. I think he's done that with Doug. I think he's established that Doug is the thing that makes that engine go. But for Sincere, it's not been established. Francis said it just a second ago. He said Sincere Parker has really disappointed me. I think one of the reasons he's really disappointed is because we recognize how talented offensively he is, but for some reason it feels like it's not been established on this team yet. So how can Penny Hardaway establish it?
Playing more than 12, 15, 16, 17 minutes a game. Of course, that's point number one. But also, so tonight we saw Penny try some new stuff in the half court. Oh, at first everything was just go, go, go. And I think that was kind of step one. But when they got into the half court, they tried like that run it through the big, like the high low from the nail thing. Which
Jourdain was awesome at that when he played for Memphis.
Yes. But I just don't think Memphis has a guy.
Shout out Nick Jourdain.
We got Jourdain hive here. But look, Jourdain's not on the team. They don't have a big who can do that. So I would say to get your guys going, and you hate to be one-dimensional. You never want to be. But at the end of the day, I think this team's going to kind of have to be. So just those pin-down actions and then the elevator screens to get Sincere the ball on that wing. And then he's going to have his defender on his hip. He's going to be able to attack downhill and then create. I think just super intentionally getting Sincere in those looks and also playing him more minutes. But I think you can draw stuff up to make guys fit roles you want to.
You know who I would put at that nail position, the high post kind of facilitator? I put Hassan Abdul Hakim at that. You would hate that?
No, I wouldn't hate that.
Okay. The reason why is because Hassan does have the ability to go off the dribble. You don't want the ball in his hands too much, right? Like you don't want him creating from the 3-point line extended, but putting him at the high post at that nail would and giving him the ball, 1-2 dribbles, boom, boom, up to the basket. He can do that if the lane is open, or he's a pretty decent facilitator. I could see also. The only reason I wouldn't do this with a second guy is because he actually is a pretty decent 3-point shooter. I think Ashton Hardaway is a pretty decent facilitator out of the high post, but you also probably would want him in the corner or on some of those, kick out passes from the paint. Anyway, so
what's so hard to watch about Ashton? His first step is just so slow. There's never a threat to get to the rack just because that first step quickness isn't there. But I do like the idea of Hassan up top. I think he can definitely run some things. He's lengthy, so he can get around guys and lay with those just finesse. But he's pretty much none of the bigs can do that. None of the bigs can boom get to the rack.
Your bigs are relegated to the dunker spot the rest of the time. Their job is to just go from block to block to block to block. No matter wherever the ball is, you go opposite block and just go and land there. Get offensive rebounds, catch lobs, and that's about it.
That's why the Kenny and Sam coaching staff at this point are running straight small ball, because you get one big in the dunker spot. That's it. So I'm a big fan of that Hassan at the high post, because if you want to continue to run this stuff where you're running stuff through the bigs, it can't actually be your bigs. It gets to be Hassan.
It gets to be Hassan. It cannot be your bigs. It cannot be your bigs. All right, let's go recognizing and establishing who is the best defensive player on this team. I know who Penny Hardaway tells us it is, but is it really Zach Davis?
I kind of said earlier, look, if I'm the coach, I want to play the guys with the best tools. I want to play the guys that give me the best chance to win. A locked-in Zach Davis is the best defensive player on this team, but Zach Davis is still not the best defensive player on this team. So I don't know. I do like Julius's effort. I think Thedford can be something really good. He doesn't have the length. He doesn't have the build that Zach Davis has. But at the end of the day, he's always giving 100% effort because that's just who he is as a player. What do you think?
I don't trust Zach Davis.
I don't. No.
And so, it kind of annoys me that he was so locked in today and hasn't been for like the previous 4 or 5 games. Like that drives me crazy.
Maybe it's easier to be locked in against teams who stink. Who knows?
Maybe
That's just how he runs.
Like I mean, I had the whole conversation on the last Tigers Live show. Was like, what do you want to be a basketball player? Or do you want to look like a basketball player? Because there is nobody that looks.
He looks
better.
like one.
There is nobody that looks better out there on the court than Zach Davis. He looks like a hooper.
Yep.
But do you want to really be one? Because if you choose to not be, then we'll forget about you, and we won't remember that you were here this year. Right? Like moving forward, we'll forget you were a Tiger. But do you want to actually end your basketball career playing high level in the NCAA tournament? It's time to not just look like a basketball player, but be a basketball player. Lock in. Let's go. Like that's my whole, if I could sit down with Zach Davis and have a heart-to-heart, man-to-man talk with him right now, that's what I would say to him. So it's not Zach, even though size-wise, athleticism-wise, he is everything. Like he can do it. Like you see it.
Yeah,
he can do it. But to me, it's Julius Tedford.
Yeah, I think Tedford is the little things because they're the exact opposite defender. You know what I mean? Because Tedford's willing to do the little stuff. He's willing to get dirty and do the things that need to get done. Zach Davis sometimes is, but your best defender can't be a sometimes guy. He's got to be always guy. Tedford's always on. I'd say Tedford fits in this role.
What does that look like establishing him as that? I mean, I think he's already, in my opinion, that's been established. Defensively, the Tigers looked pretty
Really
good tonight, right? Like they looked pretty good. Penny Hardaway is always going to have more of his emphasis is going to be on defense because that's just how he coaches. He's a defensive coach first. So I don't know if necessarily you need to do anything to establish that. I think it's been established. Julius Tedford is a guy that is going to always give you everything he has on the defensive end of the floor. And he might foul. He's kind of toned that down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I love the energy and I love the effort in which he plays. I do think Curtis Givens is also another guy that's pretty good at on-ball defense. Simon Majock's had some pretty awesome moments, but I've been pumping the brakes on Simon since the very beginning. When Francis Carlotta on this very show said that Simon Majock had the most NBA-ready skill set out of everybody on this team, I was like, pump the freaking brakes, bro.
I was not here for that. I wouldn't let that slip.
Pump the freaking brakes, bro. The man looks, there's a reason why deep thigh bruises have become a popular injury for this Tigers team, because you got bony ass Simon Majock's knees running around banging into his teammates on screen. I'm just joking. I don't know. That might not be the case.
Not too much on the goat, man. Not too much on the goat.
Yeah,
no,
Timo said Francis Carlotta was drunk.
Had to have been. I don't know. He probably spent too long at Mugshots that night because I don't know what he was doing.
He did have that block, and I think it was against Louisville.
Oh, he's had some awesome moments.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about ceilings, he's got it, but he doesn't have a 2025, 2026 ceiling. He has a 29, 30 ceiling. That's Majak.
Exactly. All right. This is the last one we're going to recognize and establish. Who is the Tigers' most consistent player?
I mean, I mentioned him earlier, but Doug, right? It's got to be Doug.
It's got to be Doug. It's definitely Doug.
And he's the most consistent player, but he's had like back-to-back games with 6 turnovers against I forgot who it was. And then sometimes he's shooting like 20% from the floor. He's 5'8". I don't know how tall he actually is, but he just isn't big. So it's so tough for your most consistent player to be an archetype of a player that's incredibly inconsistent. You know what I mean?
Dude, that is a bar. That is a bar, and that needs to be a byline in the Daily Helmsman this week, because that was phenomenal. I agree with you. I think it tells us more about this Tigers team that Doug is the most consistent, more so than it tells us anything about Doug. I like Doug. I think Doug's a fine player, but the fact that he is, with all the flaws that he has, is the most consistent player is definitely something that I think we should should give us some pause, right?
Right. I think that's a great point. It just tells us about what this team is. Because, like, he was at Kansas State, which is an incredibly dysfunctional team. But I'm not going to lie and say I watched a lot of that team. But I guarantee you he was not the most consistent player there. I guarantee you he was not the most consistent player at Michigan. So
Him and Jerome Tang hate each other. They hated each other,
Right.
bro. They hated each other. Nathan said the problem with this team is that Dick Daniel is
that's a bar.
consistent. That's a bar.
Yeah.
That's a bar. I mean, it's the truth. I would love to see more consistency out of Curtis Givens. I think that he could be somebody that, because he's played at a high level and he is a point guard at heart, I would love to see more consistency out of him.
I really like Curtis. I think he can be one of the best players on this team. I saw a penny quote that Parth just put out. Shout out Parth Upadhyaya, boy for the Daily Memphian.
Is it Upadhyaya or is it Upadhyaya?
Oof.
I think it's Upadhyaya. Get
Upadhyaya.
it right.
I'm not a ball knower. You're a ball knower.
Get it right.
Hey,
it took me.
I'm gonna have to phone him up.
It took me 3 years to get his last name right. So I really, I'm on it.
Look, that's my former coworker, so not too much on my guy. No, I'm kidding.
I love Parth. Parth is my guy.
Parth is awesome. He put out penny on Zach Davis. Wherever he goes, we're gonna go. He's kind of the X factor to me. What do you? I see your eyes switching over there, Kenny. What do you put to that this team goes as far as incredibly inconsistent Zach Davis goes?
I think that was Penny Hardaway talking to Zach Davis more than it was talking to the media.
Right.
That was him saying, grow the F up, is what he was saying to him. Be consistent, because we're going to go as far as you go. And I don't think that's necessarily true, but for me, that was Penny Hardaway talking to Zach Davis more so than that was Penny Hardaway telling the truth about his Tigers team. He needs Zach Davis to be impactful. He needs him to be impactful. And so I think that's his way of trying to push that out there, right? Because there's going to be stories written about Zach Davis and his consistency this week. And Zach will probably read them, to be honest with you. So, or he'll hear about it on the Bluff City Media YouTube network. So,
as always.
I mean, Penny has gotten very good at saying things to the players without actually saying things to the players. He uses the media quite well to get points across, I think. So, anyway.
Yeah. 100%.
Roman is like a salty ex-girlfriend. What's his deal? I mean, I Heart Windshields, like, shout out to you. It sounds like you're a little bit late to the show.
I'm not Roman.
This is Sam Shoemaker. Roman was on in the previous segment. But Roman is, I don't think that Roman is more blunt than me and Sam, but I think Roman speaks kind of what me and Sam are thinking about this game too. He just says it in very blunt ways.
Yeah. Roman speaks for me.
Yeah. Yep. Sam, thank you, dude. Appreciate you so much. Hey, where can folks read your stuff? Where can they follow you on Twitter? Shout out, put all your stuff out there. Where can people find you?
Man, I put everything important that I do on Twitter, @Shoemaker52, and then just the Daily Helmsman. I'll be taking over this semester and next. We put out a lot of really cool stuff. We've broken some news. Memphis' only free daily newspaper. So continue to tap in with what we're doing on the news and sports side.
I'm proud of you, man. I love what you guys are doing over at Daily Helmsman. You're a rock star. I wish I could pay you a lot more than what I pay you, but you're a rock star, dude.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I'm glad you were on here today. And y'all can absolutely check out Sam, Roman, and Shamaria on Beat with BCM. Depending on games, it comes out at certain times. Like the usual time is at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. But when you're getting into conference schedule, there's going to be some situations with games, things like that. So you'll see it come out at certain times. The best way to find out when On Beat with BCM is coming out is subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the show, and then hit the notification bell. It'll tell you when we're live. So you'll see all the live shows that we do here at Bluff City Media. And the algorithm will go, oh, you liked On Beat with BCM. You want to listen to Roman. You want to listen to Sam. You want to listen to Shamaria. Boom. They are now live. Here are the clips. Here's the things. Here's all the stuff coming out from them. The algorithm will love you, and we will love you too if you do that. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell on Bluff City Media, and you can listen to Sam, Roman, and Shamaria every single week on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock, unless there's some time crunch there. But it's a great show. You guys have been doing it, I think, 5 weeks, and it is a killer show. You guys are doing awesome. So shout out to you guys. Listen, also, last thing before we get out of here, come to the watch party, January 3rd, 2 p.m. at Mugshots out in Collierville. Great food. The burgers there are phenomenal. Come and try the peanut butter burger with me. It is a bacon, peanut butter, and beef on a beautiful, beautiful bun. It's a really fantastic burger. You think that because it's peanut butter, you would need like a lot of liquid. It's not super dry. Like it doesn't make your mouth go dry because of the peanut butter. But if your mouth is dry, they got great beer specials. They've got cocktails there. They've got everything you can think of. Large screen TVs. We're going to have a setup in the back room back there with Tigers Live show. We'll be going live from Mugshots out in Collierville. Francis Carlotta will be in the house for this watch party. Myself, Roman Cleary will be there. Francis will be there. All three of us.
I hear Kenny's buying shots for everyone who shows up.
And I'm buying shots for everybody except for King Meeks. So King Meeks is asking me, King Meeks, you get nothing from me, bro. All right. I Heart Windshields. You can come out and you can talk to Roman about how he is a salty ex-girlfriend.
You can.
And Roman won't
free
be able
will.
to, Roman won't drink with you, but I will buy you a shot if you and Roman have a conversation about him being a salty ex-girlfriend. Let us know you're there if you can come. But shout out to Mugshots out in Collierville, 656 West Poplar in Collierville, Tennessee. It's an awesome place. Come check it out with us. Sam, I appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir. Kenny, I appreciate you letting me hop on. Happy New Year, man.
All right. Shout out to you. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope 2025 ends well and 2026 starts tomorrow beautifully for you. We got college football playoffs tomorrow. We got some games tonight. We got games tomorrow. And we'll see you back here next week on Bluff City Media. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for watching this episode of Tigers Live. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. We'll see you back here next time.